Good morning and welcome to Share the Word. In Acts chapter 28, we read from verse 2. Paul gathered a pile of brushwood, and as he put it onto the fire, a viper driven out by the heat fastened itself onto his hand. Family, instead of dying, he shook off the snake and continued to build the fire. This story teaches us some important truths. A perfect example of what we must do as believers. Here are some things I want you to look at this morning. Number one, you can only build fire to the extent that you overcome the excuses of the flesh. Sometimes people say that I cannot pray, I cannot fast, I cannot start giving because it's currently raining in my life. In other words, they may be battling certain sicknesses, weaknesses, or addictions. I want to encourage you. Let not that stop you from going hard after God. You may be in a battle with things in your flesh right now. But if you choose to build a fire in spite of that, you will conquer the lust of the flesh. Getting another deliverance is not going to change your lack of discipline. Secondly, somebody will start the fire for you. But it is your logs of wood that will keep the fire burning. Maybe you went to a conference, a retreat, a small group meeting, or a regular Sunday service. Even a crisis or a situation in your life can kindle that. In Leviticus 6 and 12, we see that God always starts the fire. But God doesn't keep the fire burning. That's your responsibility. Impartation without hunger will lead to disappointment. Many of us have been disappointed because instead of going from faith to faith, we go from conference to conference. What keeps your fire burning are your logs of wood, your prayer, your fasting, your giving, and your reading of the Word of God. Don't allow what someone else started within you to die out because you haven't been adding your own wood to that flame. Your contribution is required. And number three, when you start to build fire, vipers will come out. One thing to keep in mind when you decide to go hard after God is that you may notice that problems that were once suppressed begins to surface. The fire did not create a snake. It only exposed it. In other words, in times like these, don't blame God if it seems like now that you are getting closer to Him, all hell is breaking loose. The reality is that you didn't always walk in obedience to God, and when you got close to God, you finally stopped going with the current flow in your life. And now you experience resistance. You have to overcome the resistance. Family, fire exposes what is already there in your life. Continue to burn for God. Fight, press in, stand in your faith, and you will see the great victory that God has for you. Family, friend, have a wonderful day and see you tomorrow.